च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमल मालिने नमः कमल पादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वं ह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये. Dear devotees of God, knowledge cannot be had by reading scriptures. And every scripture says this. Knowledge can only be attained by a guru. And the questions we have regarding God and the path to God, our questions cannot be answered by friends and family members. They can only be answered by a qualified teacher, a godly teacher, in other words, a guru. So today we have a question and answer session. The questions are yours and the answers are from the philosophy of Jagat Guru Uttam Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj. So I open the floor to you. If you have a question, please raise your hand and a mic will come to you. Please speak clearly into the mic so that everyone may hear you.
Radha Didi ji.
Radhe Radhe.
Didi ji, most people in the world thinks that path to God realization or to our aim of life could be achieved by karma, jnana or bhakti, either of these. And most people think bhakti is too difficult. Jnana is only for like extraordinary genius people. So for us, karma marg is the only marg left. So could you please enlighten us what they should think?
Certainly. So our scriptures say there are three paths that can lead one to God. Path of karma dharma, the path of gyan, the path of knowledge, and the path of bhakti, the path of love. So where the confusion comes in, when a person says, I want to do my karma, my duty, and so I will follow the path of karma, there's so the name, karma, the path of karma, dharma, that's a misnomer, so people misunderstand. In fact, the path, the only path, at the end of the day, the scriptures, when you ask them, what is one true path leading to God? They say, the path of devotion. The path of karma and dharma does not mean that we just do our duty and we are ordinary people in the world, we're doing our duty. Rather, it means that you follow the dictates of the Vedic, the Vedas. The Vedas specify duties for every individual, depending on varna and ashram, depending on the caste of your body, physical, and your stage in life. So, karma and dharma, this path is also called the path of varnashram dharma. So, if you are born in a Brahmin's family, you're a Brahmin and you are married, you're a householder. The 4 stages of life being the unmarried and the celibate student's life, brahmacharya, and the householder's life, that is grihastha, the forest dweller's life, that is vanaprastha, and then there is sannyas, the life of a renunciate. And the 4 varna, of course, are the 4 castes are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So scriptures have specified the duty for Brahman student, Brahman householder, Brahman forest dweller. In other words, what is your caste? What is your stage in life? And this path is extremely difficult to figure out. What is my real duty? It's very difficult to figure out. Even the great scholars, they stumble on that. They stumble and they find it difficult to understand. But the path of karma dharma is not going to lead one to God. If you follow the directives of the Vedas and do your duty really well, and which is almost impossible in this Kali Yuga, because there are conditions to be fulfilled which are next to impossible. These for people living in Kali Yuga. The ultimate destination, even if you succeed wildly, the ultimate attainment you'll have is Svargalok, from which you have to come back after enjoying the pleasures of Svargalok. They are not divine pleasures. They are material pleasures, heightened, very much greater than the pleasures experienced on this earth. So path of karma and dharma is not what a lot of people think it to be. It does not lead one to God. Then the path of Gyan, it is so difficult that Gyan ke panth kripaan ki dhara. The Ramayana says, walking on the path of Gyan or knowledge is like walking on the sharp edge of a sword. It's so difficult, it's so dangerous. And this path, again, people misunderstand. They said, yes, I'm an intellectual, so I'm on the path of Gyan. No, that's a misnomer. Again, that's a misinterpretation of the path of Gyan. This path is so difficult that after lifetimes and lifetimes of walking on this path, that is meditation, by meditating on the impersonal form of God, Brahma, then after lifetimes of struggle, then finally, if you succeed, you become Atmagyani. You get to know the self. But that is partial knowledge of God, because the Atma is partial, part and parcel of Paramatma. And then after practicing devotion, you will end up with God. You can end up with liberation. So devotion is necessary here in the path of Gyan. And even in the path of karma and dharma that I just referred to earlier, even that, if you are following your dictates of your dharma, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're doing your duty as prescribed by the Vedas, then you still have to practice devotion if you wish to go to God. The path of devotion, therefore, is the only path that can lead us to God. What we must understand is that karma plus yoga, that is what bhakti is. You do your duty in life, whatever your duty is, but you add devotion to God. So devotion is the only way that one can attain God. That is the only path for everyone, without exception. इस ऐसा हम लोग समझते नहीं है कर्म धर्म का मतलब अरे हम कर्म कर रहे हैं अपना, हम कर्म मार्ग अपना रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. ज्ञान मार्ग, अरे हाँ हम तो बहुत ही, हमारी तो डबल PhD है, हमारी तो बहुत ही बुद्धि जीव हैं, बुद्धि प्रधान जीव हैं, तो हमारे लिए ज्ञान मार्ग है. ऐसा है नहीं. ये ज्ञान मार्ग के उपदेश को सुनने से पहले ही इतना एडवांस होना पड़ता है कि आपको कड़ी सर्दी में कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता और झुलसती हुई गर्मी में कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. आपको कोई अटैचमेंट नहीं है जीवन में, सारे परिवार वाले सारे एक साथ ख़त्म हो जाएं और आप टस से मस ना हो, तब आप ज्ञान मार्ग का उपदेश सुनने के अधिकारी बनते हैं. सो इट्स जस्ट दैट पीपल मिसअंडरस्टैंड by these terms, path of karma dharma, path of gyan, and they say, well, path of devotion is for very emotional people, especially women. I've heard that a lot. Path of devotion is for women and not for men. It's for everyone. And a lot of people say, no, I'm more into knowledge. But the devotee, the one who follows the path of devotion, he attains the highest knowledge, because Savidya Tanmatir Yaya, the Bhagavatam says that true knowledge, the greatest knowledge, is that which will make you a devotee of God. So loving God is the greatest knowledge. So a devotee actually attains the greatest knowledge of all. So it's only people make these remarks because they don't necessarily understand what these paths are all about. नाम सुनने से हमें पता नहीं चलता कि ये है क्या मार्ग, ये क्या है, ये क्या है, ये क्या है, कर्म धर्म क्या है, ज्ञान क्या है, भक्ति क्या है. Welcome. Yes. Who has a mic? I have another mic if somebody could take that. And one on each side. Thank you. Yes.
What does Golok look like?
What does Golok look like? Well, from what Shri Maharaj ji has told us, Golok is amazingly beautiful, because Lord Krishna is the most beautiful. Would you agree? Lord Krishna is the most beautiful. So everything in Golok is Shri Krishna himself. Shri Krishna becomes the air, the water, all the 5 elements, space, air, fire, water and earth. Everything is Shri Krishna. Even the sun and the moon and the stars in Golok, they are not like the ones we see over here. They are Lord Krishna himself. So everything in Golok is divinely beautiful. All the trees, everything there is Lord Krishna. So there's so much beauty there that we can't even think about how beautiful it must be. Would you like to go there one day? Yes, I would too. Thank you. Yes, Pratham.
I have 2 questions. My first question is, why does God come down to earth?
Okay. So God comes down to earth because he is very, very compassionate, very merciful. You see, if God doesn't come down to earth, then we don't have the stories that we love so much. We hear so many stories about Bhagwan Shri Ram, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, and when we hear those stories inspire us to love God. They make us love him. So if he doesn't ever come down to earth, we will only think that, oh, there's some God up there somewhere in the sky, and I don't know anything about that God, and it would be very difficult, if not impossible. You can leave the mic. It would be, I think, impossible to love him if he didn't come down to earth. So when he comes here to earth, he interacts, he talks to people, he does things which are called his pastimes. So they're called pastimes. So when God comes down to earth, it all becomes very interesting for us. Even 5,000 years after Shri Krishna came down to earth, we are still hearing his stories. We are now hearing his stories. We love those stories. We read about them. We laugh. We cry sometimes. We hear Bhagwan Ram's stories. We hear about the pastimes. And it makes us love God. Would you agree with that?
Like every year and...
Does God come down to earth only once, or God comes down to earth? See, this is the one world we're living in. This is just one of the countless worlds we're living in. So God is, he's taking birth in so many different worlds. As we speak, Lord Krishna is doing pastimes in some other world, some other universe, right? But let's say in our world, God comes down. Shri Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever there is a need for him to come down to earth, whenever the evil forces, they torment the devotees, then God says, I will come down to earth. So he comes down. We know about some of his avatars, right? We know about Dashavatar. We know about Bhagwan Shri Ram, Bhagwan Shri Krishna. We know about so many different forms of God. And every form of God doesn't necessarily come down to earth. Like Bhagwan Shankar, he will come down to earth, but he doesn't perform pastimes, right? Bhagwan Shri Ram comes down to earth. There's a lot of leelas, a lot of pastimes. Shri Krishna, many, many leelas, many pastimes. So he comes at appointed time. Like every Treta, in the era of Treta Yug, Bhagwan Ram will come for 11,000 years. Towards the end of Dwapar age, Dwapar Yug, Bhagwan Shri Krishna will come. Every Dwapar, he will come down to earth. Then there are sometimes God comes and they're more like private avatars that people don't find out about them until much, much later. Like Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He was Radha and Krishna, both in one, two in one. And he was here a little over 500 years ago. And a lot of people still don't know that he was God who came down to earth. So he comes down to earth whenever there's a need, but there's a specific time. Yes, he will come down. Ram will come in Treta, Shri Krishna will come around in Dwapar, and the form of God will come towards the end of Kali Yuga. Do you know the name? Kalki Bhagwan. Okay. Yes.
It's just like Pratham's question. When God comes down, how do you know when you see him, like touch him? What feeling will you get?
That's a very good question too. How would you know if when you touch God that's God? Well, here's the thing. Jaki rahi bhavna jaisi, Prabhu murati dekhi tin taisi. So when we look at God, when we touch him, we don't necessarily see him as God. Everybody doesn't see, oh wow, that's God. But if you're very devoted at heart, if you're very devotional, you have a lot of love for God, you will recognize him as God. But everybody sees him differently, depending on what their state of mind is, what they are like on the inside. So the good ones see him as good, devotional ones, very devotional ones see him as God, and the evil ones, they become afraid of him, they see him as being very frightening. And this is what happened when Bhagwan Shri Krishna went with Balaram. Remember when Kunj called him and Shri Krishna left along with Balaram? Akrur took them in the chariot. They went to Mathura. And then a lot of people saw them in this big arena. And everybody saw them differently. They were elderly women and they looked upon Shri Krishna and Balaram as little children who needed their protection. And the yogis, there were some on the path of yoga, they were great yogis. They saw him as Paramatma, they saw him as Mahavishnu. The Gyanis, they didn't see a form, they just saw a lot of light all around. And they were young ladies of a loving temperament, they saw him as their beloved. Everyone had a different feeling towards him. So the ones who love God, they will recognize him as God. And someone who is very worldly and has nothing really much to do with God will say, that's an ordinary person. So everybody is looking at them differently. Understand? Okay. Yes, Dhruvil.
When was the last time Shri Krishna came?
It was 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago.
I practiced very successful Raja Yoga for a long time. But after a very successful long life, Krishna becomes the dominant factors. And I'm very confused. Can you help me why this is the case? I practiced Raja Yoga. I didn't practice Bhakti Yoga.
You practice Raj Yoga and you didn't practice Bhakti Yoga?
No, I don't even know Bhakti, and I practice Raja Yoga with powerful guru for about 20 years, and very, very successful in my experience. But this year, right, the Raja Yoga lead me to Lord Krishna, and I'm so confused.
You have asked me that before, yes. And you are very amazed that Lord Krishna is calling you. He's attracting you. That's because that's what he does. He attracts. His name Krishna means the one who attracts everyone. So it seems to me that you are really a devotee at heart. And Shri Krishna is letting you know that He is your destination, not anything else, that He is your destination. So He's letting you know that. That's why He's attracting you.
Thank you very much. I assume I did something very wrong for this to happen.
Yes, you're very, very blessed. Yes. There's a question in the back.
So we learn about Nishkam Bhav and doing bhakti only to please the Lord and to make him, her happy. Yet the Lord is bliss himself. So I wonder how our small little actions could add to that infinite bliss.
It can't. He's infinitely blissful, but He becomes happy when we make progress. So when the devotee is selflessly serving Shri Krishna, then Shri Krishna becomes happy. That does not add to his happiness. He becomes happy because in our happiness lies his happiness. So he sees that, oh, this child of mine is doing the right thing, and through practice of devotion, he or she is going to become very, very happy, and that's why knowing that the devotee is on the right path makes God and by the same token Guru happy. Although we cannot add to the infinite happiness of God or Guru, but Sri Maharaj used to say that, he said at one point that, you people, the devotees wanted to do extended kirtan, even though Maharaj said, no, you don't have to. We've been doing kirtan for so long, you don't have to extend it further till 4 o'clock in the morning. Just finish at midnight. But the devotees still wanted to do more kirtan. So Maharaj said, I was so happy to see this, that despite my saying that you don't have to continue doing kirtan, you still wanted to. So Sri Maharaj said, this made me so happy that I gained weight because of this happiness. Aadha kilo weight bad gaya. So in other words, I'm so happy seeing that you are making progress. So we don't add to their happiness because there's no way we can add. But it's the other way around. But they become happy, God and Guru become happy when they see us succeeding in life, doing what we are meant to do. Way in the back, there's Anshul there.
Didiji, so our mind has, infinite practice of getting integrated into the world and taking on more and more things that get us more and more entrenched. And we also, don't have the ability to remember our previous lives. So my question is, how do we continue to build a sense of urgency? Like, I've been given this life, I need to make spiritual progress in this life, because we hear it in the philosophy, but we can't remember, almost as like a fear mechanism of, hey, if I don't do it now, I will, revolve in these 8.4 million life forms.
Right.
So how do we build that sense of urgency and continue to make faster and faster spiritual progress in this life?
You're right, we don't remember what went on in the past, but even just knowing the philosophy and accepting it and revising it, going over it in the mind, that, this has happened to me before, and I have lived not a few hundred times, I've lived innumerable times, and yet here I am again, and I've got this opportunity, realizing the blessings that we have, and this blessing, all these blessings that have come together, getting the human form of life, being born in India or having a strong connection with India, and being born in Sanatan Vedic Dharma, and having a guru, and having a desire to know God. All these blessings have come together. All these graces have come together. What if I don't get this next time around? Am I willing to gamble it all away? Am I just willing to say, well, some other time then, maybe in another few million lifetimes, I'll get this chance again. So just going over that, convincing the mind, hey, this, you don't procrastinate, because this is not easy. Adi Shankaracharya has said, Durlabham trayamai tat daiva nugraha karakam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha sambhava. There are three things that are very difficult, they're rarest to attain, and one is the human form of life. Next is a desire to know God, and third one is a guru. And all these three have been given to me, so what am I waiting for? We have to actually convince the mind, that, because we take for granted whatever we have, and what we have is tremendous. Being born in a family that believes in God, that's a blessing. Not being born in an atheistic nation and having the freedom to practice devotion, not everyone has that. Not everyone has that. So I believe that when the individual thinks about all the great, when we think about all that has come our way, and then we must we must tell the mind, what are you waiting for now? Because if this opportunity is lost, then the Vedas do say that in many, many kalp, for many, many kalp, you will not be blessed with a human body, because this human form of life is the rarest. Kabahu ka kari karuna naradehi. Once in a while, it's only once in a while that God, who is causelessly merciful, gives to the most fortunate soul the greatest gift in the form of a human body. So it's a matter of convincing the mind. There was a young man who always said to me, I haven't seen any pain in life, so I can't relate to that. And I said, look at others. Look at your own family. Look at your immediate family members. And he said, yeah, there's a lot of pain and suffering. And just because he had not gone through it, he could see other people. It's like you don't have to touch fire to know the fire burns. You see others going through so much. I always recommend that, it's a good idea to go to a hospital and see the suffering, physical suffering people are going through. Am I going to take a gamble? And while I'm healthy, why am I not doing better than what I'm doing? Why am I procrastinating? What I have today, I may not have tomorrow. I may not have life tomorrow. I may not have, if I have life, I may not have good health tomorrow. I may not have all these opportunities that I have right now. So it's a matter of convincing the mind by talking to the mind. Sri Maharaj always used to say, give reasons to the mind to do what you want it to do. Give reasons. Explain to the mind. Don't take all this for granted, because this is very special. This lifetime is so special. All these opportunities have come together. सारे बनाव बन गए एक साथ, वो कब बनेंगे अगली बार? When will we have these great fortunes? When the scriptures and saints are saying, this is the rarest gift that God can give. This is the rarest, it's the most precious. Even Devatas in Swargalok want to be born human, despite the fact that they have a very, very beautiful body compared to our human body. Despite the fact that they have far greater knowledge, but they don't have the ability, or they're not given the privilege of performing fruit-bearing actions. So here I am, the only child of God. I belong to this group of a few billion children of God who, at this point, are the only ones who have the opportunity, who have been given the opportunity to perform actions that will bear fruit. And why am I throwing it away? Why am I saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow? Prahlad had said to his little friends, they were very small children, and in childhood, usually children don't think about the importance of worshipping God, praying to God, doing Rup Dhyan. But he said, who knows, you may not have life tomorrow. And that's a little child saying that, and we are much older than children. So it just depends on how well we explain it to the mind, and just devoting that time every day to sadhana without a break. When the mind says, I don't want to do sadhana, no, I'm going to make you do more sadhana than usual. So getting tough with the mind, because it's our mind that tells us there's a lot of time. बहुत समय है, बाद में कर लेंगे. Convincing the mind that's everything is in the mind. Everything depends on the mind. Radha. Did you forget?
In Rupjan, what can you like imagine of Krishna doing? Like, what is he? Last time when I did it, I imagined Krishna as like a Barbie doll.
Playing with Barbie dolls? Okay, good. It's, what you like to do. That's what you should have him do. You like playing with Barbie dolls? Then he's also playing with Barbie dolls. And so what else do you like to do? Do you like to swim? Do you like to? So he's swimming at the swimming pool. You like to go on vacation? Yes. So you think that he's come with you on vacation? So just think that you're gone on vacation with Kanhaiya, with Shri Krishna, right? So you can think of him as doing anything that you like to do. Now, you're a little girl, so I don't think that you'll think, okay, I think Krishna is cooking with me. Because you don't cook right now, right? So, but you like to play. So he's playing. And you can also think that maybe he's tired and you can be pressing his arms and his lotus feet. You could be doing that. You can be doing seva like that. Maybe you want to comb his hair. You can do that. That's a very good thing to think about in your Rup Dhyan, that you are serving Shri Krishna. You're bringing him something, your mommy has made something, and you're bringing Krishna that something to eat. And that could be your favorite snack, your favorite food. You're giving him something to drink, thinking that he might be thirsty, some water or whatever else, milk with cookies, like that. You can think anything that is interesting to you. Do you understand? Ayushman.
In the path of devotion, what is the best way to start?
The best way to start is what you're doing now. You're coming to the mandir and you're following the teachings of such a great, great Guru, Jagat Guru Uttam, and your parents. You're very lucky to have parents who bring you here and you do devotion. Do some devotion at home, do some chanting at home. When you get up in the morning, when you start, you'll be starting back to school. All of you will be starting back to school. Even when you're not in school right now, just get up in the morning. The first thing you should do is just to think about God, think about Shri Krishna, think about Shri Maharaj, and your parents are guiding you and they're bringing you here, and you're listening to lectures, right? And you're asking such great questions. So you're doing the right thing. This is how you do devotion. Devotion means love. So you're trying to love God and Guru.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Can you please explain to me what's the difference between Super Soul and Lord Krishna?
Super Soul and Shri Krishna? I wonder if you mean Supreme Soul. Yes. Supreme Soul and Krishna are one because there's only one God. Yes.
Since I practice Raja Yoga, we think Lord Krishna is in our heart.
Yes.
We call it Super Soul.
Super Soul.
And then this one, we call it Lord Krishna. And
it's the same.
Oh,
It is the same.
Okay,
Yes. He is that Supreme Soul who lives in the heart, and this is another form of his. But this is the sweetest form because you can, there are pastimes there. So our scriptures say that you can think of God as being the Supreme Soul who lives in everyone's heart, and you can think of him as Krishna, and you can think of him as being a divine God who has no form. So having no form, when we think of God as having no form, that doesn't help us, does it? No, it's impossible to think of God like that. So, and then the other one is Supreme Soul, Paramatma, Param Atma, Supreme Soul, Soul of all souls. And there are two divisions right there. One meaning of the Paramatma is the one who lives in the heart, everyone's heart. The other one is the majestic aspect called Mahavishnu. And then the third aspect of God is Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And this is the one that we have, there are a lot of pastimes attached to him, lots of stories. We know about his nature, we know his characteristics, and we know about his love and his, the happiness he gives. So it's the same one.
Because I have a lot of experience about this in my heart, but I have hard time to understand Lord Krishna. So to me, there are huge difference. There's a gap there, and I cannot overcome the gap.
Okay. So because you have always thought of him to be in your heart, then you see this external manifestation in the form of Murti, then you're finding it hard to connect to this, right? I would say that you should just think about him and pray to him that I am not able to connect to you, but I want to connect to you. And the connection will be made very, very soon. Yes.
I did pray to him, but so far he just ignored me completely.
He cannot ignore you for very long. Not at all.
You are right.
Of course, I am right. Because he doesn't give up on anyone. He doesn't. No. You keep him in your heart, pray to him, beg him, it will happen.
Didiji, bhakti is very easy, Maharaj says. But when we do bhakti, we find it very difficult in the sense that we think we are not making progress and we don't see tangible results. So how can we overcome that and continue with more energy or vigor?
Right.
Radha.
So devotion, yes, is the easiest path. Sri Maharaj has said that many times. The difficulty is because of our mind. The mind has so many impurities in it that we find it very difficult to love God. And it just seems like a difficult path. And we feel that, you feel, I'm not making any progress. And that is actually not true. Progress is being made. But if you think about it, I think that's the main question. How do I know I'm making progress? So when you think about yourself 5, 10 years ago and what you are now, I'm sure you'll find that there is progress there. There is progress. When you started on this path and now, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. You've seen that. You know that about yourself. Everyone has some shortcomings. Then you think, why am I not better in controlling this vice or this fault? That's a different matter altogether. We don't become perfect, but there are so many improvements. If you think about it, your attachment to the world in general and to your world, your family, that attachment, how much it was before and how much is it now, you gauge your progress with that. There was a time when you didn't, I'm sure, I'm just guessing, I'm not saying this, but because it happens with everyone. There was a time when you had no desire to serve God or Guru, and there's many people who say, I didn't even believe in a Guru, and all Gurus are just imposters. And there's so many people who were feeling that way at one point, and then to come to a point where you say, I adore my Guru, and I understand, and I'm humbling myself before my Guru. There's a big difference. There's a huge improvement. But we tend to think sometimes, I haven't made any improvement. It is not true. Some of it is because we still have so many faults, yes? But then when you look at we must look at our faults, but at the same time, we must give ourselves credit for the improvement we have made also. So I would say make a list, do a comparison. You'll see that, yes, there has been improvement through the grace of God and Guru, and of course through sadhana. It's a combination, due to this combination. And we all know that, yes, despite the improvements we've made, there's so much more improvement to be made. That's true. But we must also recognize the improvements we have made, the progress we have made. Otherwise, it just seems like there's, I haven't gotten anything out of this, and that is not true. Yes.
Radhe Radhe Diziji.
Radhe Radhe.
I have a question, like, even I'm being this path like 7-8 years continue, my anger control is like, I have a biggest issue for that. Like my worldly duty, I do, and sometimes I cannot do what I want to do, and I get so frustrated, anger, and I feel guilty as a mother too. Mm-hmm. So how I control my anger, I know Maharaj says you don't supposed to be angry by his philosophy, but I'm fell on that, so I don't know how to improve on that.
The anger that you direct at yourself and to others, family members?
Both.
Both, yes. Right. You haven't... I thought Radha's going to say, I have an answer to that. I'll come to you in a minute. So how do we control that anger? To control this anger, we have to look at our expectations. When we have our desires lead to anger. Greed and anger are two children of the mother called desire. So when we want something to happen, I want it to happen my way, but you did it a different way. So there's frustration. What can you not understand about what I just told you? This is the way I want you to do it. You didn't do it. So we have to check our expectations. Why have these expectations? I'll do my duty, and that's all I can do, but I don't have any control over the outcome, the result, so I will leave it at that. Let's say if you're a mother, and being a mother is a very difficult thing. Of course, being a parent is very difficult. It's the most important and the most difficult job in the world, I think. And so you have to give yourself a break and just say, expectations. Why am I expecting all this? And we have to give ourselves a break. You have to give yourself a break. And that, I'm not Superwoman. I am a human. I'm trying to do my best. And so you have to give yourself some, a break. Give yourself a break. And when it comes to others, getting angry at others, yes, of course, the philosophy, don't get angry. Get angry at anger itself, yes. And recognize that anger is not solving the problem. It doesn't solve the problem, it adds to the problem. Haven't you noticed, and that's for everyone, that, when you get angry at someone, after that, you've gotten really good and angry at someone and you have had the choicest words or you have said some things. Then after that, you get so bothered by it. You can't stop thinking about it and you think, I wish I hadn't said that, right? You just give me a nod if you've ever been through that. Hardly anybody? 1 or 2 people? Yes. So it hurts us. And we say, मैं उसको देख लूँगा. And हम क्या देख लेंगे, हम भोग रहे हैं. जब हम किसी के ऊपर गुस्सा करते हैं तो अपने आप ही दुखी होते हैं, तो हम भोगते हैं फिर उसको. So again, this mindful living, that not just if we just stop reacting immediately to a situation and say, let me assess this situation, and do I have to get angry here, or maybe it doesn't help to get angry here. Can I think of a better way to solve this? And the big picture is the expectation. The more desires we have, the more anger we'll have, because so many of things that we want, they could be tangible things or intangible. I want respect. I want my kids to listen to me the first time I tell them something, right? I want this, I want that. I want them to do better in school, whatever it is. But, or I want my spouse to do this work, but he or she is not doing it. Whatever it is, or the root cause is desire. I want this. It didn't happen, so I got angry. So we have to do a lot of thinking that, what can I do? Because now we have the tools. We have the tools in the form of the teachings, then we just have to use them. And just when we say, I got so angry, I forgot all about the teachings. But that is the time to go back to those teachings, say, I have the tools through which I can fix this. I don't have to feel this. I don't have to get angry. Let me do something else. Let me just take a deep breath and think about this. Because oftentimes when we get angry, we haven't thought about what we're going to say, what we're going to do. We just do it. That's it. But let me do some mindful living. Mindful living is very, very important. That I am speaking words of anger. Why? And how can I not do this? How else can I behave? How else can I react? And immediately reacting to a situation is not good. And then when you look at the same situation, you think about it a little bit, then you get a totally different perspective. You say, oh, in the beginning you might say, oh, this person is so wrong, this person is, and then you say, why did this person do this? Oh, okay, now it's making sense. Now I'm not angry. I'm taking pity on this person, let's say. Anger was not the right emotion. So we misunderstand a lot of times. When we get angry, it's because we misunderstand another person or other people. But if we just take the time to think about it, which we often don't, because that's the whole reason we get angry. We are reacting. But if we take our time patiently, then we're able to say, okay, this doesn't make sense.
Thank you, Didiji.
You're welcome. Radha.
If you go to Golok, do you ever come back?
Oh, wow. Kids have the best questions. When you go to Golok, you don't have to come back, but sometimes you want to come back to help the rest of us. Sometimes you want to come back to help others. You want to tell them about Lord Krishna, you want to tell them about devotion. Like Maharaji came from Golok, and then he taught us, and then he went back, and then he'll come again like that. So you don't have to come back, but and you'll want to come back because you want to help others. Then you become totally unselfish, and you only look at the others, how you can help others. Isn't that sweet? Yes, there's a question there.
Didi, is there a minimum passing mark defined which guarantees to get a human form again?
Maharaji talked about it. When Maharaji was asked, how can I guarantee that I will get a human form again? And Shri Maharaji said, if you spend more than half your time in thinking about God, so if you have spent more than half the time in your waking hours, and granted that you're sleeping the right amount, so if you spend more than half the time thinking about God, then you are sure to get a human birth. Hemlata.
On the question of anger, my question is greed. How do you control greed? You go to the store, you have like 20 different outfits in your closet, but you want to buy the 21st. because you like it. How do you control that?
Again, you have that desire, and so rather than fulfill that desire, it's good to just have the control at that moment to say, I'm going to deny you. I'm going to deny myself this. So that's the only way to make sure that the greed doesn't increase. And by thinking, I have so much already, do I really need this? And remind yourself of the, by reminding ourselves of the laws of God, that, don't have any more than what you need, absolutely, than what is absolutely necessary for a simple living. So we're on the spiritual path, we're on the devotional path, and the mind is there. We have a mind. It's going to keep on desiring something or the other. And of course, the mind is not yet convinced that God is happiness. And the mind says, no, there's happiness in clothes, shoes, jewelry, cars, there's so much. So the mind is not yet convinced. So the one thing to do is to really strengthen the teachings, strengthen that knowledge, that all this is just, it's in passing. It's not going to give me happiness. So if I have 20 outfits, like you said, I want the 21st one. But there was a time when I got those 20 outfits, each one of them, I thought, I'm going to be so happy wearing it. And yet, it didn't give me happiness. And there's some that I'm just not even looking at, they're in the closet. And I've packed them up. I don't look at them again. So that's the same outfit that gave me so much happiness at one point. And that's the same car, the same whatever it is, whatever object it is, that the mind wants more of. So philosophy, and then the plan of action is to deny. Shri Maharaj has said, "Khub tarsaya hai teri hi khwaishon ne tujhko, ab tu bhi in khwaishon ko kuch tarasti chhod de." Your desires have tormented you for uncountable lives, and now get even with them by denying your desires. I know the desire arises in the mind, and you say, "No, I'm not going to fulfill you." Fulfillment doesn't come from worldly things, and yes. And it just seems like no matter how much we have, it's just never enough. And there was a little girl on TV, and she was saying to the host, "Oh, I didn't have a dress to wear." And right before that, she had said, "I have a closet full of dresses." And she was a little girl. And the TV host he said, "Even at this age, you're saying this? Closet full of clothes, but then I didn't have anything to wear." And the little girl was perplexed, like, "What do I say now?" She goes, "Well, I mean, I didn't have anything new to wear." Dhruv?
Radhe Radhe. Sometimes when I do Rup Dhyan, I think of the Leelas, but sometimes I'm not in that mood, so I think of him, Krishna and Radha, doing like things I would do in today's world. And for that, I can't really have them wearing like the clothes they would wear in Vrindavan. I kind of imagine them wearing the clothes we would wear.
Yes.
Is there a danger of making Radha Krishna like too worldly and like just not as divine as normal?
Right. If you happen to dress them in let's say t-shirt and jeans, and the danger arises only if you are not careful in thinking. You have to tell your mind that this is Radha and Krishna, but I am dressing them up like this because we are allowed to dress Radha and Krishna as we like. And every saint who is a devotee of Radha and Krishna has dressed them in different ways. Say Mirabai would have dressed him as a Rajput, because she's from that part of the world. Someone may dress, some Gujarati saint would have dressed in his Rup Dhyan, he would have dressed Radha and Krishna in a Gujarati way, and Punjabi way, whatever. So from different regions of India, and then by extension, you can dress them up in a Western way. And there's no danger except that you just have to be careful in thinking that, in telling your mind, this is Radha and Krishna, and always have that feeling of divinity towards them. Otherwise, and then it's just because you're interested in having them dressed up like that, and that's going to help you to have them dressed in different ways. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
Arnav.
Could you explain the difference between, or not difference, the relation between loving God and surrendering to Him? I think when I think of surrender, I think it's like I either have trust in a person or it's a white flag type of moment. I'm not really understanding how the two can go together.
Right. It's basically the same thing, surrendering to Him. Surrender what? You have to surrender your mind to Him. So you surrender your mind to Him, just always thinking favorably about Him. There are 6 characteristics of surrender. They'll help you understand. The first one is anukulyasya sankalpaha, always having favorable thoughts. Second one is never having unfavorable thoughts. So aren't they both the same? No. If you cannot have favorable thoughts, at least don't have unfavorable thoughts. So rakshishyati iti vishwaso, He's always protecting me. He has protected me in the past. He's always protecting me. And giving over everything, just surrendering everything in the sense, everything I have is His, having full faith that everything I have is His. So if He takes it all away, it was not mine to begin with. So you can only do that when you love someone, right? So it's all about loving Him. Loving Him, serving Him, surrendering to Him, it's all the same. Sharanagati, surrender, love, lovingly serving Him. It all ends up being the same thing. Once Maharaji had said to understand, go ahead, to understand what surrender, what does surrender mean? And Maharaji says just to serve Him lovingly. That's it. Yes.
Didiji, what is the significance of orange Radha Shami that we all put on?
That you're wearing and some others are wearing.
Yes.
Shri Maharaji wanted the devotees to wear that particular Radha Shami as opposed to the stoles, which are in different colors, or they may be in yellow color too. But this Radha Shami is what Maharaji called the uniform of a devotee. It has Shri Maharaji's writing on it. You have the Radhe in the circle. That's Maharaji's writing, Radhe. And it says Shri Gurave Namah Haraye Namaha. That's Maharaji's writing. So you feel you are surrounded by love of God and Guru. So this is the shawl, the Radha Shami shawl, in different materials. Some are thin, some are thicker material. But they are different from the stoles that they come in different colors that say Radhe Radhe on it. So Radhe Shami is what Maharaji wanted everyone to wear. So in Mangad, in Bhakti Dham, to enter the hall, you have to be wearing the Radhe Shami, not any other shawl, not even not a stole or anything like that. That Radhe Shami and the tilak. Devotee's uniform. Because when you wear something with God's name on it, you feel godly, you feel more devotional. And that's the thing. Once we were in Vrindavan ashram, and Maharaji said, so many of you are going out there to eat by the wayside, eat from the vendors. And so everybody was kind of looking sheepishly, Yes, we went there, we ate. Maharaji said, do one thing. Just before you go out there in the marketplace, just wear your Radha Shami. Because you would not want to wear your Radha Shami and stand out there and eat tikki and all that. Because somebody will say, you'll feel embarrassed. So that was a good instruction. Because a lot of people didn't go after that. Yes.
You had explained significance of the tilak, and I'm sorry, I forgot. Could you please tell us again?
Sure. The tilak is a vertical line and a bindi, round dot. So the vertical line represents Shri Krishna, and the dot represents Radha. So the tilak represents Radha and Krishna.
Radhe Radhe Ji.
Radhe Radhe.
So I have this question from really long. I'd like this environment, I want to do my seva here. Then if I have an idol at home, I have an altar at home, but I don't find time, and I don't know why, but I don't think it's necessary to do everything that I would like to do here. So if there is some seva needed here, I rush here and I just ignore, and I feel like, a lot of times my children will say, you did not do bhog, and you did not do arti. So is this wrong? It's a lot of struggle in my mind. I just keep thinking I'm not doing the right way, devotion the right way.
So should you feel guilty about not offering bhog to Thakurji at home and not doing arti? No, not at all. Once Maharaj had answered this question. There was a devotee whose parents got her married to Lord Krishna, a murti. And then she was hesitant to come to Mangar. She said, how can I leave him right there, right? Maharaj said, well, patthar ke sanam hai. Maharaj said, no, it's okay. And we are not following Vadhi Bhakti. We're following Raganuga Bhakti, and we understand the murti at home and this one, both have God in them. So it's when you make a distinction, that God is different, this God is different. It's the same God. When you're offering bhog over here, your Thakurji at home is getting the bhog. This is something that a lot of people do not understand. There's no need to feel guilty. And this is why Sri Maharaj for many, many years did not ever encourage having murtis at home. He did not ever. And then things changed, but and even in Mangar, we since we have a temple, we have murtis, but Maharaji didn't want people to feel guilty about okay, I'm going for a month to India. Who will take care of my Thakurji? The tension is there. But you take time. So Maharaji used to say, take him in your mind. He's always with you. So that's something Maharaji emphasized. So there's no need to feel guilty. No reason.
I just wanted to validate, because in my mind, I think that many people do that very religiously, and I don't. And I feel like I don't serve them well. I just have them. I do whenever I feel like I have time. I do bhog, I do arti, but not every day that I should be doing.
No, it's okay, because you're not ignoring God. You're doing seva over here. You're doing arti over here. You're doing the right thing, because a lot of people get stuck with that. I have at home. I cannot come to the mandir. I cannot come to the satsang. I cannot come to the lecture, and it's very sad, because when they deprive themselves. Because at home, let's say you're staying at home, you're at home and you're doing the puja, you're offering the worship. But then let's say you don't have time to come over here and something very important is going on over here. You could be learning something very important, and so you miss the point, you miss the satsang because you're not able to do the same satsang at home. So like you said, you knew what the answer would be, but you wanted to validate it. So absolutely, you're right. There's no need to feel guilty. Our time is over. It's actually time to perform the arti. So, Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai. Just before I request you to stand for artis, I would like to just to go over tomorrow's schedule. Tomorrow is Sunday.